Join me as we dive into creating 4 fun holiday cards using minimal supplies. Let's jump into it right now. For my cards today, I'm using the Nutcracker Sweet stamp set and coordinating dies, the Joyful word die, and the Holiday Joy Sentiment stamp set. I've got 4 matte layers, 2 half sheets of cardstock. We're going to be using one of the Happy Half sheets from Taylor Expressions. We're going to be using Rockin' Red, Winter Green, Sauna, Deck the Halls, It's a Girl, and my Memento ink. And I'm going to use a little VersaFont Onyx Blacks for the sentiments. So let's get started. So we're going to stamp out our nutcrackers 4 times. I just did 6 times. It's 2 of each. So I'm only going to color 1 for you on screen. I have all the colors listed on the blog post. We are starting out using RV23, and I'm putting that where I want it to be the darkest for the shadows. And then I'm going to blend that out with R20. And so, I'm still using the R23. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and just add where we're going to have our darkest colors first. Now I'm going to come in with the RV21, and I'm going to blend out the 23. We're going to do a pink nutcracker for this one. The other ones I did off screen, so it made it a lot easier and faster for you. I didn't want y'all to have to sit through me coloring 6 of them. But if you do want to see those color combinations at the end, it is on the blog post that goes with this set. For the glaze on the top, I'm using the RV21, and then I'm going to blend that all out with R20 with the Copics. Oh, and by the way, we're using Copics today. I don't have a lot. I have a few, so we're going to use what I have. So we're going to go ahead and blend that out. Just pulling that highlight out and blending those colors together. Super easy. We're going to do the same thing on the stripes and everything else. If you want to skip ahead to about 8 minutes into the video, then you'll bypass the color. And if you just want to see the Happy Half sheets, you can skip ahead to there. I believe it's about 8 minutes in. We're going to go ahead and color in the other stripes and the little belt inside piece. And then I'm going to add the color in the little sprinkles on the fig pudding. And I just used the same colors and just chose different ones and made them in that. For the cheeks, I used the RV21 and the R20. For our shirt, we're going to do that. Our collar, we're going to do a yellow green. So I'm using YG909 and putting in my shadows. And that's going to be for the little accent pieces as well. And our other stripes on our little stockings, pants, whatever they are. I have no idea. If you're in ballet, they're tight. So there's that. So I'm going to blend that out at the holly with YG06. So I'm just going to blend that out, leaving a little place for my highlights, which was going to be YG03. I think it's YG03. Yes, YG03. So I'm just going to pull that out. And I do realize that I forgot some area, and I will come back and get that off screen or on screen. I don't remember if I did it on screen or off screen. Anyway, we're just going to finish blending those out. For his skin, we're using E11, E00, and E000. So I'm just adding in the shadows first, and then I will blend that out with the E00, and then my highlight is going to be that E000. Super easy coloring, nothing fancy, nothing wild, super simple. All right, we're going to move on to his hair, and I'm going to use E99. I am doing the figgy pudding. We're using E37, E35, and E33 for that. So we're using the E37 as our darkest color. And then I'm going to blend that out with E35. So just a nice mid-tone brown color. Yeah, I thought it was pretty. So that's what we're using. And then we're going to blend that out with the E33. I'm just being very careful to go around the little dots and not get over them. But had we went over them, we would have just took a white gel pen and they would have become white. It would have been okay. All right, so for our hair, we're using E59 as our darkest color, and then I'm going to blend that out with E18. And I'm going to just blend that out a little bit. It's my mid-tone color. And for my highlight is where I'm going to pull in the E99. So I'm just going to pull that and add that in to the lightest areas and pull that out, making sure to make that everything blends nice and smoothly. And then I'm going to come in with G29 and G28 as my dark green colors. So I'm adding in that G29 first, and then I will blend it out with the G28. So there's that. And now, do you have to have all the markers? No. That's why I have very few Copics. I think I have maybe 50, 60. I don't remember how I counted. But nowhere near the 350 you have to have, because you can do a lot with just a few markers. Now back to the card for a second. I'm using BV02, BV01, and BV00 for that blue violet color. For the candy cane, I'm coming in with CG3 and putting that where I want it to be the darkest, and CG1 to blend that out. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and I'm going to color his shoes with CG7, CG5, and CG3. So we're just going to blend that out with the CG5, going around all those little dots to make sure they don't get covered over. But again, if they did, it's no big deal. We can fix that. And then we will blend that out with CG3 for our darkest color. And I'm going to blend the top of the staff is what we're going to do. We're going to do that. And we're going to use our warm grays for that. So I'm starting off with warm gray 5, W3, and W1. It's also going to be the same colors on my plate under his little Figgy pudding on his head. So we're going to blend all those out and blend those together with that last W1. And now we're going to come in and do his little belt buckle. And I just used YR24 for that. And for our red stripes on our candy cane, we're using R29 and R27. So I'm going to start off and where I want it to be the darkest. That's why we did the gray first, because that's going to allow me to have the white without having to color any of that. But it also is going to give me a little bit more definition on those red stripes. So we just blended that out. Now we'll cut that out with the matching dyes, and we're going to get started on our happy half sheet part. All right, so I am going to start off with my happy half sheet. This is going to work better by using a block instead of a stamp positioning tool. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. We're going to take one of our large stamps and we're going to stamp that right in the middle. Due to the fact that we are going to be doing coloring, I am going to do the coloring off screen, but we are going to do the stamping all together. So you're going to stamp your largest image in the center, and then you're going to go in triangles over your paper, creating, making sure some of them go off the page and some of them go on the page, because you want them to look like a continuous piece of pattern paper, which you could cut down a piece of pattern paper for this if you wanted to, and just follow those. And again, the happy half sheets are available at Tailored Expressions. I did link both of them below. There's 2 sets that you can order. They're laminated cards. Now, I saw them in the haul video. If you missed that, I will put it in the right up there at the top if I remember. No promises that I'm going to remember. So I'm just going in with the next 2 Nutcracker stamps and following that same triangle pattern, fitting them in where they are close to the first one. And then I'm going to change, and we're going to move to the Holly image in the stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that in that triangular pattern next to the first image we started with, making sure every time I stamp it, it is in that same pattern. And I'm using Deck the Halls ink from Catherine Pooler today for this. We're just going to keep going around and then make sure some of those go off the page. I'm going to switch stamps. I'm going to go with one of the candy canes, and I'm going to go right up to against that first, our first set of images we started doing. This is Rockin' Red. We're going to stamp those around. I am going to use the other candy cane that's in this set also. We're going to use that in a different color shortly. But we're just going around filling in that triangular area that we started out with for our happy half sheet. And again, this is a half sheet of cardstock. It's hammer mill smooth cardstock. It's cut 5.5 by 8.5. Now we're coming in with that other candy cane. I'm using It's a Girl ink from Catherine Pooler and stamping that around next to our other each triangular sections that we have been creating, making sure, again, some goes off the page. That way it has that continuous flow and everything. And then we are going to switch to Sauna ink, and we're going to use the little starburst image, the little star image. So basically what you're going to do is work from your biggest stamp in from your stamp set and down to your smallest, and you're going to fill in all the areas of your triangle sections. That's the easiest way to explain it, y'all. It's not as hard as what you might think. So we're just going to keep going on and filling in our cardstock, creating our own pattern paper. And if you had solid images, you wouldn't even have to color. You could leave these black and white if you wanted to, the images that I've already stamped. I'm coming now in with the starburst image, and I'm using the wintergreen, starting to fill in and getting smaller all the areas of the cardstock. And if you do have any open spaces, I'm going to show you what to do with that next. So we're just going to keep going in, filling in our areas, filling up our little piece of paper, and have a fun time just creating. So here we go. We're about to switch over and fill in the rest of them. If some of the images overlap, it's okay. You have to make that decision if you want them to overlap or not. It's up to you. All right, now we're going to switch stamps. I'm going back to the holly stamp, and I'm going to stamp in and fill in the extra areas. If some of the images I decided to overlap this time, that was fine. I didn't care. It would have been okay just added to the card. So I'm just going to fill in those last few. Again, making sure some goes off the page. Now I'm going to take and color these off screen using my Copic markers, and there we go. I've done all the coloring off screen using those same color combinations I used before. I did one traditional, one in a purple tone, like the Sugar Plum Fairy, and one of those pink tones. Now here's my happy half sheet. Remember, those are laminated cards that you can get from Taylor Expression. There's 5 in a set, and it helps you create. And you're just going to cut following the directions. And there's my first cut, and then I'm going to do my second cut following those measurements that are listed on the card. And it does give you the card pattern on the front as well as the measurements on the back. It also on the front gives you the suggested color palette also, which was fun. So I've got all my pieces cut and made sure they were stayed in the same direction. That way everything lines up. And now I'm going to come in with my sage leaf cardstock, and I'm going to attach that to my A2 top folding card bases. And this is how I normally mass produce any kind of card. I'll do everything in steps. So we're going to go ahead and add all those to our card bases and just attach those straight down right in the center. You could easily like emboss these panels if you want to. You could use a cover plate die. Anything you wanted to do to however you want to do your cards. I'm keeping them super simple and just using solid cardstock because I know I'm going to stamp sentiments on these as well. So we're just going to go ahead and add that last card front. And then we're going to start with our happy half sheets. I started taking them off the measurements. It gives you the measurements there. I did forget one of the cuts, so I'm going to have to go back and do that in a second. But we're going to go ahead and follow the template and add our first panel down. So we're going to put that panel down off to the side. My half sheet was a little longer than 5.5, so I'm going to trim a couple of those off. Or it could be where I trim the card base. Who knows? There's always something. So we're going to add our next panel, and that one, the template tells me to add it right down the center of the card base. So I'm just going to add that right down the center. And I'm not going to give you the measurements because it is from Tailored Expressions, and y'all can get that off there. Now this one you're going to cut in from corner to corner. That was the one cut I forgot for the third card. So we're going to take and add our liquid glue to the top or the back, and I'm going to slide that on. So we'll go ahead and put that in place. And I mean, I love that you get 4 unique cards using just a half sheet of cardstock or pattern paper, however you decide to do it. I personally enjoyed the coloring process. It took me a couple hours to color everything. So now I'm going to add my last panel, but you do want to make sure, again, I can't stress this enough, when you're cutting, make sure you're cutting in the same direction and not going cattywampus, because your patterns won't line up. You want them to line up. Like you can see right there on his little purple one, it lines up perfectly with that little gap. Now I'm going to come in and add my sub-sentiments from the Joyous Holiday Joy Sentiment Stamp Set. And I just picked one of the sentiments that's going to go with the Joy die, which I've already cut out with some cranberry cardstock. I've cut those 4 times off screen. And we're just going to go through and add our sub-sentiments where I want them to go. And I'm just going to line them up into the card and stamp them down. This is where I'm using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink, because it's perfect for sentiments, and y'all know it's one of my favorites. That and the VersaFine Clair, which basically I think they're the same ink. So we're just going to go ahead and add this one. This one I decided to put the sentiment right in the center of the panel. I could have put it somewhere else. You can rotate these any way you want. I decided to do my top folding, so I did stamp that one twice to make it nice and dark. And then my last one, we're going to go ahead and stamp over to the bottom right. And the sentiments in this set are great with the Joy sentiment. It says, good tidings of comfort and joy, and then wishing you a season of, may you be filled with sending Christmas, peace, and love to the world. Celebrate. And there's also 2 small joys in there that you could stamp. So you really don't have to have the die. I chose to purchase the die. So I'm going to go ahead and add my Joy die. This is the Festive Joy word die. I've cut that from cranberry cardstock. And I'm going to start by putting the O first. That way I can get the spacing evenly around the Y and the J. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my Y, snug that into place. And we are going to go ahead and do our J. And I'm going to show you where I place the other 3. But this was a super easy way to make 4 cards. It took me, after I had the stamping done and the coloring, it took me probably an hour to do the 4 for the video. And that was just putting things together and cutting and everything like that, and doing the coloring on screen for y'all for that one card. But all in all, that's pretty good for 4 cards to do super quick. So I'm going to go ahead and add this one. I'm going to put the Joy right there right above the sentiment. So we're going to add our O, and actually I'm going to add the Y to make sure I have enough spacing. And then I will go ahead and add that O in the middle. This is one way I do like to make Christmas cards. Y'all know I like to mass produce my cards for Christmas, and I like to keep them relatively dimension free so that they are easy to mail. I'm planning on trying to do I don't know if I'll do it on screen or off screen, but I am going to do try a piece of pattern paper to see how that worked out. So we're going to go ahead and add in our next Joy die cut word, and this one I'm going to just with the diagonal. I probably could have scooted that sentiment over slightly a little bit more, but I did not. So we're just going to continue on. All right, we're going to add our Y, and I think we have one more after this, I believe, to add the Joy to. Again, I just cut that. The Joy, I actually cut from a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 cardstock, and I had got all 4 of them cut out from that half sheet. So not a lot of supplies used for this. There was 2 sheets of ultra thick cardstock, a half sheet of the cranberry, a sheet of the white hammer mill for the stamping and the happy half sheet part. And then I had used a whole sheet of the silver sage. So that's 2, 3, 4 pieces of cardstock for 4 cards. So it's not bad. So there's that. And we're going to add our little die cut gingerbread men now. For the pink ones, I decided to go ahead and add inside because I did not leave room for them to be on the outside. So I'm just going to attach them on the inside and make it super easy and nice and festive that way. Now you could easily add another sentiment in there. I chose not to. Any of the sentiments from the sweet Nutcracker Sweet stamp set would work. For these outside ones, I'm going to pop up on the front. I'm going to use, I think this is a traditional one, colored one. I'm just going to pop him down right there. And then this one I decided to put on the inside as well. I know. Is it this one? Yes. No, this one I used the purple. I'm going to pop him up. The one I call the Sugar Plum Nutcracker because he's purple. And most of the time in the Nutcracker Ballet, the Sugar Plum Fairy is purple. So that's why I nodded to that. And then this is the one I added the last pink one on the inside. Our little figgy pudding Nutcracker. And everywhere that I have looked, I think this might be sold out. I did link to Catherine Pooler's website. I'm not an affiliate for her, but I did link it anyway in the supply list in case. I think she had it available still. I know scrapbook.com was sold out and a few other places. I did add in the extra 2 Nutcrackers that I had colored and pop those in the inside of my card as well. All right, now it's time to add some finishing touches. So we're going to come in and add some white gel pen highlights, just here and there on our Nutcrackers and in our candy canes. We're going to add a few, and our peppermints. I just added them right on the little peppermint candies. So I'm just coming in, adding those few little highlights, and I'm going to add some Stardust stickles. In just a minute, I'm going to let that gel pen dry first. It didn't take very long. I just did it right off screen. And okay, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and add. We're going to add the sequins, and these are the Rakovic sequins. And I know I butchered that. I'm sorry. I did have a nice viewer tell me how to say it, and I still butchered it. So it is that. So I'm just going to add a few sequins on each card. I think I added 5 on each. So I got to have an odd number. So I'm going to add 2 up here at the top left, and then 3 around the bottom right of the card sentiment. And we're just going to pop those in place using our glue press. And by the way, I'm loving the glue press. It's been super fun to use. My hand does not hurt after using it all day. So that's been super fabulous. So if you suffer with hand issues, I do recommend picking one up. I didn't think I needed one until I got it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. So I went ahead and ordered it and got it, and I have really enjoyed using it. I was very surprised. All right, for that one, I decided to do red and green. So I'm going to pop the two on the bottom right and 3 at the top left. I did change where those green ones are going to go. It kind of kept giving me holly vibes, so I went ahead and moved those around where it looked like more like holly. And for our last one, we are going to add a few around our sentiment as well. I do end up changing some of those out because I liked the red and the green. This sequin mix has a purple, a teal, a green, a white, a silver, and there was another color, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But they were super easy to work with. I did enjoy it. So we're going to go ahead and add our last sequins mix to our last card. And we are going to add in our finishing, embellishing touches in just a second. So let's go ahead and we're going to pop down, figure out where we want those to go. We're going to do around the sentiment. We're going to pop a red one and one of the white ones down there, or silver. And then I'm going to pop these other ones after I get it unstuck right there and up here. So 3 at the top left, 2 at the bottom right. Seems to be my MO today. Now, after the glue dried, I'm coming in with some Stardust stickles, and I'm adding it to the center of the sequins that had the holes in the center. Some of the sequins do, some of them do not. And I also am going to add some Stardust stickles in another place in just a second. But this just added a little bit more to the sequins and gave it that finishing touch. I'm coming into in the die cut joy. The little, like what you think are circles are not. They're little stars. So I added the Stardust stickles into each one of those. And I'm adding it onto his little buttons and his hat, candy canes on his hat. I thought that just added a nice, simple touch to these die cuts. Plus gave the nutcrackers a little bit more oomph. In the Christmas cards, so we got to have a little glitter. So we're going to add our last ones to our traditional looking nutcracker. I added it to his hair and his mustache and his little shoulder pads and to his boots and to his belt. And that's it. That's a look at all 4 cards using the Happy Half sheets and the Sweet Nutcracker Suite from Catherine Pooler. Here's our closer look at the cards. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Make sure to leave a comment, and I will see you later. Bye, guys. Stay crafty.